Alright guys, we are live. Welcome back to another live stream. Today is the 8th of June. It is currently Monday. Now we're a little bit late, so we're going to need to jump straight into it. We're going to hop onto the charts and deep dive with today's session. So we're going to start out by marking our current day high, new day open, which is at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't currently have a template open for that, but what I will do later on in the session, we'll just quickly go out and mark that once more. So for right now, we have 6 p.m. marked out on the Nasdaq, 6 p.m. on the S&P 500, and also 6 p.m. on our Dow Jones Industrial Index. Now, after we've done that, I want to go ahead and plot all of my liquidity levels. Right, so I'm just going to quickly sift through them. Like I said, we are a little bit late, but no major issue. Okay, so I can see that my lowest low from 6 p.m. to current time is located here for the S&P 500. I'm going to go ahead and mark that as our sell side. Right, and buy side comes in at 920 on the S&P 500. Then I'm going to go to the Nasdaq really quick. We're going to jump in and pop our current day high. Alright. And now we want to see where current day low is. You can see that my current day low is actually that 6 p.m. candle, which is good. Alright. So we've got all our liquidity levels in play for the Nasdaq, for the S&P, now just the Dow Jones. And we can see that Dow Jones has immediately taken out current day high as soon as the market has opened. So now all that's left for us to do is essentially mark out current day low, which gives us our sell side level. Alright, perfect. So chaps, we pretty much have just given ourselves an entire roadmap for today's session. Now, if you guys were here for last week's live streams, unfortunately we didn't exactly take a trade in the entirety of last week, which is not ideal. But once again, it's not a train smash, alright? We have no control over how these markets move. All we want to do is essentially cherry pick the best possible scenario that we want to take. And that way, with high accuracy comes high reward. Not always high risk, but with high accuracy is high reward. So the Dow Jones is currently trading higher. We are at the 51 to 80 level on the Dow. Then on the S&P or the Nasdaq, we can see that price is not working in correlation with one another. If we split over here, we'll be able to see what all of our different indices are doing simultaneously. We can see that the S&P in the middle of our screens is currently trading lower. It is yet to take out that buy side level. We can see that the Nasdaq 100 is also yet to take out that specific buy side level. So for right now, my bias with the Nasdaq, I am currently looking to be neutral. And likewise with S&P, since we have not yet taken out a liquidity level, I am also neutral on the S&P. Then on the Dow Jones, we have traded to, we have made the new current day high, which means that I am, drumroll please, bearish for this specific asset. And the reason I am bearish for this specific asset is because we have made a new day high, essentially. I do not want to buy anywhere past that specific level. It's the perfect reason for the market to essentially fade that move. I understand that a lot of people will now be thinking that that is some form of breakout trade, and they will be looking to go short on that or long on that specific pair. But I am a contrarian trader. I want to position myself against what the grain is doing. And if retail is looking to go long as that trade breaks out, I want to position myself in a possible short. But in order for that to happen, we do need to just remain patient. And we want to see all of these assets once again come together with one and other. So with that in mind, we're just going to remain patient. I am going to give you guys the luxury of having a full screen. I'm going to take myself out of it. And like I said, we're just going to remain patient. There's nothing significant that has happened as of yet. Now, for me, just want to remain patient, as I've said 5 times now. But bear in mind, we've only just had the first 5-minute candle close of this session, so we are still very early on. There's still a whole bunch of moves yet to take place. So let's see what price does, and I'll let you guys know exactly what I'm thinking. Cool. Alright, so guys, if we are looking at the first give or take 15 minutes, we've clearly seen a buy side sweep on the Dow Jones. However, when looking at the Nasdaq and the S&P, we have not seen the same thing. Now, I'm really hoping that we do see a raid in the buy side level. Ideally, we see it on the Nasdaq, where the S&P will fail to do the exact same thing. Now, for right now, there is no specific trade for me to take part in. I know that we have seen a raid in the buy side of the Dow, which does signal a cracking correlation between our three assets, but for me personally, it's not enough it's not enough to force my hand. I don't want to yet participate in the marketplace. I am more interested in just remaining patient to see exactly if we can see a raid in liquidity on the Nasdaq, followed by the S&P, or at least an attempt on the S&P. So let's remain patient. Let's see what the rest of this particular 15-minute candle does. We have approximately 14 seconds left as we speak. And then what we'll do is we'll quickly shuffle through our 15-minute time frame to see what data we can extract from that specific time frame. Thereafter, we'll look at the half-an-hour time frame and revert back to our 5-minute to see what we like, what we don't like, what price action has revealed thus far. But for right now, nothing too significant other than that liquidity raid on the Dow. But like I said, not interested as of yet. So let's remain patient. Like, subscribe. To all my millions of viewers watching right now in this very second, I thank you so much for your time. Let me know what made you click on. Slowly but surely, we are going viral, ladies and gentlemen, and I am elated to be able to do this. Whether there are 1 million views, whether there are 5 million views, or whether there are 50 million views, I want to thank you all. Truly elated. Alright, so we have just got our 15-minute candle closure. What we're going to go and do is hop over to the 15-minute time frame. What I'm going to do for this is rather full screen the S&P. We'll start off with the Nasdaq. Alright, so 15-minute on the Nasdaq. The last 15-minute candle close was bearish. For those of you who don't know, bearish is just indicating downward momentum, and those candles usually come in the form of a red candle. So if I hover my mouse on that 9:30 15-minute close, you'll see that candle is indeed red, indicating that it is bearish. Alright, so hop over to the S&P 500. Now, on the S&P, we can clearly see that the last 15-minute candle closed bearish as well. So we see the same on the Nasdaq, and we see the same on the S&P 500. Let's shuffle over to the Dow Jones. Now, on the Dow Jones, we can clearly see that the candle is somewhat different. Instead of closing red, we have now closed green, indicating that that specific 5-minute candle was indeed bullish. Okay? A good way to think about it is that a bull's horns go up and a bear's claws come down. So, if I say I am bullish, you guys can expect a green candle to form, and that candle will signal buyers are in control. So on the 15-minute, we still see that that raid is evident on the Dow Jones. Now with the S&P as well as the Nasdaq, we cannot see the same thing. So what I would like for us to see is one of our indices, whether that is the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, gravitate or levitate or move, whichever way we want to say it, move towards this here buy side. I want you guys to think of the buy side as a magnet, and a magnet essentially has two different functions. A magnet can both attract something as well as repel it. We are wanting to see it act as both. We want to see it act as a magnet on either the S&P or the NAS, where one of them raises this level. So either the S&P found in the middle of our screens, or the Nasdaq found on the right of our charts. We need one of those specific indices to levitate and take that specific liquidity level. Thereafter, we're going to see exactly what price does at that level. Does price pick up volatility? Does it raid the previous liquidity that is resting above those specific highs in the form of buy side? And this to me is a significant zone because it's formed our current day high. Now, I'm a day trader, meaning I want to get in and out within today's trading session, which runs from approximately 9:30 to about 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or at least that is my past experience. In those 2.5 hour time frame or time interval of the day, we usually see the impulse moves form. And that is essentially the most volatile time in the marketplace. And between me and you, trading is not the most exciting game. So the last thing we want to do is essentially sit here for hours on end with no results. Now I understand that that is trading, alright? There are going to be days where we do not get a setup. But our jobs as traders is quite literally just to focus on the things in our control. All of the inputs, like showing up every single day at a specific time and being completely focused, clearing our mind of any possible distractions, because we understand that in this industry, we're essentially getting paid to make decisions. Everything is a battle for the mind, alright? There are going to be distractions. No doubt you guys are probably in a situation where there is a little bit of noise. Maybe there is something that catches your eye. Now, as a trader, you really do just want to mitigate the amount of distractions that you have around you. So if that means maybe you want to go ahead and place yourself in a room where there is no one else, like me. I have a separate studio, and this essentially helps me to concentrate that much more, where in the studio, there's nothing. It's quite literally just a desk, laptop, camera, and a plant. I love the plant because the plant doesn't complain, plant doesn't ask for anything. This plant's polite, this plant's pretty. This plant's on my right hand. She can be trusted. Now, that pretty much marks out the previous 5-minute close. We can clearly see that there is somewhat of a draw towards the downside. However, there is still not enough for me to want to take part in this specific trade setup. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make a small vertical line on the 9:30 candle. We'll leave it at turquoise. Turquoise is a very nice color. Comment whether you like turquoise. We're going to do the same for the S&P 500, so there you can see it's on that 9:30 opening bell. Then over here, 9:30 opening bell on the Dow. Alright, brilliant. So we now have two different vertical lines, okay? And this is going to better illustrate exactly what my specific liquidity levels are, okay? So every single day, I walk into the marketplace and I have the exact same approach, alright? And that approach is always, I mark out my 6 p.m. candle because that starts today's trading session. That's right. Monday, which is today, the 8th of June, started yesterday at 6 p.m. I understand it might be a little bit confusing to you lot. It was very confusing to me. Why does that happen? I'm not sure. All I know is that it happens, alright? If we talk on today's charts, that's exactly where the 24-hour daily candle starts, is at 6 p.m. previous day. So we draw out the previous day using a horizontal line, vertical line, apologies, a bit dyslexic, but I'm still alive. So we mark out that 6 p.m. Vertical candle, or 6 p.m. candle with a vertical line, much better than honor, well done. Then from there, we want to mark another vertical line on 9:30, right? And between this range, okay, from 6 p.m. to 9:30, I'm looking at my lowest point and my highest point, okay? And we can see that on the S&P 500, our lowest point came in at 5 to 7 p.m., okay? So that level is my current day low. And I understand that below a low is sell side liquidity, okay? And likewise, we do the exact opposite on the opposite end of that specific price range. So for us, we're going to go and look at the highest swing point, which came in the form of 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that will be my current day high. Now, I understand that above these swing points is buy side liquidity. Hence, I've delineated this specific swing high as my buy side liquidity objective in the form of current day high. That's what CDH stands for. And likewise, below the marketplace, we can see our sell side liquidity in the form of current day low. So hopefully that will make a little bit more sense. Now what I'm going to do is hop over to the Nasdaq, where we can see the exact same strategy or plan has come into play. We mark out our 6 p.m. opening candle with a vertical line. Then we go ahead and mark out 9:30 with a vertical line. And between those two specific vertical lines, we're essentially looking for the lowest point and the highest point. Okay? The lowest point came in at that 6 p.m. candle, and that is my sell side level. Likewise, at 9:20, same as the S&P 500, we have a common swing high, which essentially forms our buy side liquidity level in the form of current day high. Okay, so here you'll see I have noted buy side liquidity in brackets CDH, which essentially stands for current day high. Likewise, with the sell side, it's labeled sell side liquidity in brackets CDL, current day low. Alright, now there are only two major points of liquidity that I am looking for. It will always come in current day's liquidity and previous day's liquidity. So let's quickly hop over to the Dow Jones, where we'll essentially cover out our lay of the land so far, as well as some of the objectives that we are indeed looking for. Now, with the Dow, just like the Nasdaq and the S&P, I go ahead and draw on a vertical line at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of the previous day, which essentially marks out today's intraday trading. Okay? Thereafter, I go and draw a vertical line on 9:30, because 9:30 is the start of our bond market, and that is essentially when liquidity will be at its highest. That's when the indices tend to wake up. That's when they go for their specific liquidity levels, and we are only interested in price action after 9:30 opening bell. Okay, so if we look here between this price range formed at 6 p.m. to 9:30 a.m., we can see that our lowest point came in the form of 5 to 7, same as the S&P 500, and that will be our sell side liquidity level in the form of current day low. Once again, CDH stands for current day low. And likewise, if we draw out our highest point between those two price intervals, it came in at 9:20, and we will go ahead and mark that out as buy side liquidity in the form of current day high. So hopefully that'll make a little bit more sense for everyone. Comment down below if there's something you guys would like me to essentially go over once again, just so that we aren't confused. It's very important that we're all on the same page with regards to these terms, because what I'm going to be doing in these live streams is not only sharing my terminology with you guys, but also going through what is going on in my head at every single session. Okay? Now, the only difference between me trading alone and me doing these live streams now is the conversation I usually had in my head is now on the camera, which is you. So, like, subscribe. We're on a journey. Not sure what the goal is, but we're on a journey. I'm doing these live streams to help everyone out. I don't want people to go through the same pain points I had to for 6 years. I do not recommend that to anyone. But this is the perfect opportunity for me to essentially document my journey, to show you guys that it is possible to go in these markets day in, day out and carve out a profit. Now, that does not mean that every single day we are going to get a specific trade setup. We've seen that last week, where Monday brought the perfect price action for me and my specific approach, but unfortunately we weren't able to get our entry. We were looking at the wrong pair. Now, these things tend to happen. It's perfectly normal, but what that does on a longer term basis is just teach you the importance of patience. We don't want to always attach ourselves to the market. We want to be free flowing. Okay? What I mean by that is, if we get a trade, brilliant. We're going to take it. We're going to do our absolute best after we take that trade to manage that trade from a defensive standpoint. But if we don't get the trade, all we can do is focus on our inputs, and our inputs are to be patient, to show up every single day, to remain calm, to find out exactly what we can do in order to redefine optimize is a better word. To optimize our approach in order to do better in these markets. All right, we're in a constant state of, or constant pursuit of perfection is a better way of putting it. Now, if I am looking at my 5-minute chart here, we have about 1 minute left until this 5-minute candle closes. And right now we are bearish on the Nasdaq, found on the left of your screen. We are bearish on the S&P, found on the middle of your screen, as well as being bearish on the Dow Jones. Now, that does not mean I'm just going to sell, okay? That's the last thing it means, to be honest. If I'm also being honest with you, we just want to remain patient, okay? There is not yet a significant move that is unformed, which immediately catches my specific attention. I do see that we have raided that buy side level on the Dow Jones. What I'm gonna do here is actually just change the color because I do feel like it is somewhat interfering. That's not what I want. We'll maybe go with the darkest gray. That way we can still see that major wick on the Dow. I'm also OCD, so finding the right color here is probably going to be a little bit more complicated than anything, because that's just what OCD people tend to do. I might be OCD, chaps, but I am blessed. And that pretty much brings us on to today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. If you do not know him, I highly recommend you reach out. You get to know him. You love him. You thank him. And you be with him. Truly, what a treat. Alright? What a treat. It has just turned 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now is the perfect opportunity to show you guys what the news is for today. Alright? We have no news today. We do have news coming in tomorrow. We have high impact news coming in the form of employment change, which happens on a weekly basis at approximately 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then tomorrow at 10 a.m. we will have existing home sales, which is also a high impact news release. And we will be on the lookout for that specific news event because that happens after 9:30, whereas the unemployment change is prior to 9:30. So anything before 9:30 I view as liquidity, and it essentially sets me up for the 9:30 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time interval, and that is the best time for me to trade. Okay, 9:30 is always going to act as some form of Judas swing or manipulation leg that is more often than not routed towards going for a specific liquidity level in the form of buy side or sell side. Now, fortunately, in these live streams, we do hop on about 5 minutes before opening bell, where I go over the lay of the land. I show you guys exactly what specific liquidity levels I'm interested in, and thereafter, when 9:30 comes into play, we are not caught off guard. Now, I do want to apologize. Today, I was a little bit late. We only clocked in at about 9:30, which is not good. It's essentially, I've essentially not allowed you guys in my pre-market prep, but we did everything live right here in front of you, so that pretty much covers that. All right, now I'm interested in finding common swing highs and common swing lows on my indices. Thereafter, I want to see them get raided, because we understand that the swing highs and the swing lows form liquidity, and the name of the game, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is dog eat dog, rat eat rat. Okay? Two parties cannot win. Only one can win. There cannot be two bulls in a pen. Likewise, a buyer cannot win with a seller. If a buyer is winning, the seller is losing. If the seller is winning, the buyer is losing. And just like a casino, the house always wins. And the house is financial institutes and these deep-pocketed entities who have bucket loads of money and a lust for corruption. So we need to be very careful here, folks. We are small fish in a very big pond, and this pond is like a ocean in a storm. Not a pond at all. I'll take that back. Alright? These are stormy seas, filled with trial and tribulation. I feel like I'm Andrew Tate. Don't know why, but that was pretty cool. Anyways, chaps, let's remain patient. Let's not try and make things exciting when they're not. This is not very exciting, okay? That's just the reality of trading. But what I'm going to do is show you guys in live time exactly how I view the market and what I do in order to carve out profit. So stay tuned, enjoy the music. If anything significant happens, I will keep you guys updated. I might vanish from the screen from time to time, fend off my house. But you guys will be informed. I really hope you guys like the playlist I have prepared for you. I hope you guys like the layout of this screen. Let me know what your feedback is, whether you like it, whether you don't like it. Your thoughts are very, very valuable. Especially after looking at my dashboard and finding that there are thousands of people watching right now. Guys, never in my wildest dreams did I think this would be possible. I mean, currently we have too many eyes to count. Quite literally too many eyes to count. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Alright? And I understand that this is a massive opportunity for me. Everyone watching is somewhat dependent on my skill set, as am I dependent on the Lord's grace. So I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to help you guys from this day until the next. So like, subscribe, join the journey, stay posted. Slowly but surely we're going to make ourselves known on the other social media platforms, and from there we're just going to see how things go. Like I said, there's no goal. We just wanted to start. I was done making excuses, and here we are, 34 minutes into the 6th live stream of my streaming career, and we're already viral. Hey boys, girls, aunties, uncles, creatures and crawlers, I love you all. I thank you all for being here. It is truly a treat. But back to the task at hand, we can currently see that the Nasdaq, the S&P, and the Dow are slowly but surely making their way back up. Now, I cannot help but get this tingling feeling that we are heading towards the buy side found at current day high. So what I'm going to do here is play a little game, make things a little bit more interesting. Got no idea how to operate these emojis. Come on, man, play with me. There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go, mate. That is brilliant. And what we'll do now, cheat code, a young Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V usually gets the job done. Okay? Now, the only reason I'm doing that is because, like I said, this buy side liquidity level is going to act as a magnet. Now, a magnet can either repel or attract price. Okay? We're actually going to take it away from the Dow because the Dow's already taken up that specific level. Okay? So, we're not really too focused on the Dow. All I'm looking for the Dow now is I want to essentially use the Dow to interpret strength and weakness of our current price model, whether that's a market maker buy or market maker sell. And I will touch up a little bit more on that as time progresses. If we get an entry, we'll talk all about that. But what I don't want to do is essentially highlight an entire framework that doesn't come into fruition. Price tends to do that a lot. I also tend to do that a lot, hence I'm a day trader, because I tend to change my mind quite often, especially when there is data getting printed to me every 5 minutes, okay? Now, I love the 5-minute chart. For me, that is the optimal trading time frame. It is a combination of lower time frame and, well, low time frame. I'm not a fan of the 1 minute, okay? The 1 minute to me is just, it's a bit too much. I'm not quite on that level. I don't really think anyone can trade it, to be honest with you. But once again, I'm sure there's a lot of these guys trading on the 1 minute, bitching and bickering and lying, false teachers leading the Lord's sheep astray. But I will not be one of them, chaps. No, sir. We're going to stick to the 1 minute. And we're going to see what price does. What I will do as well is just set a sneaky little price alert on current day high on the S&P. I'll do the exact same on the Nasdaq. That way, in an unfortunate case that we step away, which I doubt I will, we will be informed on our phones, our laptops, you name it. There will be a notification and we will be informed, we will be updated, and we will make our way back to the chart. Okay? So don't worry. If you lot are planning on copying all your trades and passing every single one of your evaluations to you, sir, woman, man, creature, crawler, you're smart. You're very smart. Alright? You found the right place. Truly. What I won't be doing is calculating your lots. But what I will be doing is showing you guys exactly how I do that. And this is going to be our trading dashboard or execution cam, as I call it. Now, no doubt, I'll be on the top right of your screen. And then what you guys will see is MetaTrader 4. Now, that is my trading terminal. That is the software that I use in order to execute my positions in the market. My interim broker is XNest. Now, I do not recommend them. I do not recommend them. I'm not an affiliate with them, okay? There is zero money. They are quite literally getting free publicity, especially considering the fact that there are 1 million of you watching right now. But what I do want to show you guys is right here, it says XNest-Real 20. Now, when it says real, it means that these are our funds, okay? I can withdraw this money. I can use this money to pay off certain expenses of mine, utilities, levies, you name it. And the reason I show you guys this is because I want this journey to be as transparent as humanly possible. After all, it is a documentation. I'm documenting exactly how I am building a successful trading operation. Okay? And Real 20, the 20 refers to the server. Okay? So there'll be many servers, thousands, hundreds, you name it. Okay? Now, real essentially just means that these are live funds and they are happening on the 20th real server. Likewise, if this was a demo account, that would say trial, and it would say trial next to it. It would give the server number for that trial account. So it could say trial 20, trial 17, trial 10, trial you name it, but it will say trial, okay, or demo, and that's how you know it's BS, paper, money, fake, okay. Then the reason I have a calculator here, a lot of you guys might think that's a little bit pointless. You guys would rather want a watch list, but why it is so much more important than a watch list is because we have a separate dashboard dedicated towards our technical analysis, okay? And in this dashboard, like I said, is our execution hub. I'm not quite sure on the names, but I like execution hub. Sounds pretty legit and scary. And that's what training can be if you're not ready. So the reason I have a calculator here is so that you guys can see me calculate exactly how much money I'm going to risk at any given time. Now, the formula to work out your lot or your contract is essentially the amount of money you are willing to risk in dollars, okay, divided by the distance between your entry and your stop loss, and then you times that by 100, okay? So let's say, for example, I was looking to go short on a specific order block. This one, okay? That one right there. 12,000, basically. 12,000 pips. And if you divide that by 10, it's essentially will give you the pips. So it's like 1.2k pips. Sorry, you divide it by 100. So it's about 120 pips, all right? Or 120 points, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so say I'm going to risk 520 US dollars. I'll go 520 divided by 12,000. Come on, chaps. Okay, 12,000 times 100. Oh my days. Oh my days. I'm gonna have to start it again. Alright, sorry about that. It's 520. Come on, chaps. 520. Yeah. Divided by the distance from my stop loss to entry, which comes in at 12,000 pipettes or 120 pips, points. whatever you want to call it, times 100. So my lot size or volume would be 4.3 lots or 4.3 contracts. Rounded up, 4 contracts. Okay, so that's pretty much how we calculate what type of lot size or volume we are going to be using in these specific charts. And stay tuned for that. Okay, now what I do want to also bring your attention to is the balance. We are currently on 2.6 thousand USD. As my position is taken, you'll see that over here it will indicate a floating loss or floating profit, and that will have a direct impact on the equity. Okay, the equity is essentially just taking your open position into consideration and plotting out what your new balance would be if you choose to close that specific position at that time. Okay, so as we take positions, this equity will be ever changing, completely dependent whether or not we are right, it will go up. Whether or not we are wrong, it will go down. But we don't want that to happen. So we are going to do absolutely everything we can in order to position ourselves in a high probability scenario. Now, high probability trades are not high frequency trades, and likewise high frequency trades are not high probability trades. So it's up to you as a trader to essentially decide and discern which of those are better suited towards you and your approach. Me personally, I'd rather take less trades knowing that there was high conviction behind those trades than what I would take lower conviction trades that happen a bit more often. And the reason I do that is because with trading, less is more. Every single time you press the button and execute a trade, there is a 100% chance that you will lose. That's the nature of the game. You have to be optimistic instead of... You have to be pessimistic instead of optimistic. I really hope as I gain experience with these live streams, I will stop stuttering and I will actually start saying full rounded sentences properly. But anyways, we'll get there, alright? We'll get there. I don't mind making mistakes in front of a million of you. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. There are thousands watching. So yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say on that note. So let's see what happens in the rest of this session. Right now, nothing too important happening on the Nasdaq as well as the S&P. The Dow Jones, however, has taken out a common swing low, which we know has minus sell side. Now, should we see price move towards that specific level, we could go long. But we would need to see a change in state of delivery across 2 specific assets and not only one. Okay, that is very important. I do not want to... That cannot be underestimated. Okay, or overestimated, or there can't be more emphasis on how important that is, that we need to see 2 assets essentially come, they need to have identical price action, is what I'm trying to say, alright? They need to move with one another. It just further reaffirms that your analysis is right, because technically, if you are looking to go long on the Nasdaq, you should see the same bullish momentum on the S&P as well as the Dow. If you don't see that, then you need to also understand that the current market profile has a lower strength connotated towards it. So price is not essentially going to go all the way to your level. It could, but there's a lower probability of that happening. So right now, I'm very, 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 very interested in the S&P as well as the Nasdaq 100. Because like I said, brilliant. Now, we've traded past this specific swing low, but note how we need to see both the wick and the body close below. That is impeccable, okay? Don't think impeccable was the right word, but we need to see that happen, okay? I didn't think I was sitting so, damn, this chair's comfortable. I can do whatever I want. I don't even know what I was saying, but I'm alive. I'm alive and this room is getting fairly bright. There you go. Chaps, that is brilliant. Yeah, that's very true. Alright, just so that everyone is on the same page. There is a lot over here. There is a lot over there. And there's someone familiar over there. And then there's a sinner over here. I can't wait for you guys to start commenting. Genuine. I'm sitting here like that, just smacking the shit out of my thumbs, waiting for someone to say something so that I can reply, so that I can engage, so that I can show you guys my love, my passion, my enthusiasm. Alright? But I understand these things will take time. We've only done it for a week. I just hope that this week's a bit better than last week. And last week wasn't too bad. I definitely surpassed some expectations I had with regards to trading and traffic and whatnot, all of that. But very, very, very excited to see what the future holds for this specific channel. Like I said in the previous live stream, and we're going to make a couple of changes. Now, today we start off by doing our very first trade review or market review. If we take a trade, we'll title it Trade Recap. If we don't take a trade, but we were present on the live stream like we are now, we're essentially just going to make it a market recap for that specific day. Alright? And I'll take you guys through what I saw, what surprised me, what I did wrong, what I could have done better. And yeah, slowly but surely we'll just build on that. We'll see where that goes. Once again, guys, it's not really a goal for me other than I want to build I was going to say company, kind of doing that now, but community, okay? Of like-minded individuals, someone I can phone up, somewhere we can have a chat, Zoom, maybe down the line, link up in person, I don't know. The opportunities are just endless, okay? Absolutely endless. And I'm also looking to a private fund where should individuals choose to invest, this is where they can find me. Now, how many of these so-called professional investors do this? How many of them live stream their results? How many of them are as open and transparent? Now, once again, talk is cheap, I understand that. The true transparency will come in once I take a loss, alright? Now, God forbid that happen, but if it does, we're going to do absolutely everything we can in order to learn from that specific loss so that we do not make the same mistake twice. Because in this industry, a mistake is costly. It's too much. Alright. So guys, let's remain patient and let's see what happens. But for now, nothing spectacular happening here. I will let you guys know. I might vanish from time and time again. But like I said, you guys will be informed. You guys will be updated. And let's see. Enjoy the music and I'll see you soon. Cool. Alright, so right now we are currently moving towards that buy side level on the NAS, found on the left. Then on the right, the S&P also moving higher. Now we are not in any trades as we speak. So all I'm doing now is trying to look for common swing points, common swing highs, common swing lows, where I can essentially pin a liquidity sweep on. But right now, nothing significant. We're just gonna stay patient, see what the session has in store for us. But what we might do is explore what the economic calendar is looking like for the rest of the week. So on Tuesday, tomorrow, we have 3 high impact news events. We've already covered the employment change, how that will not affect us because that is before our 9:30 opening bell. Then we will have 10 a.m. news release tomorrow in the form of existing home sales. Then for Wednesday, June 10th, we have quite a couple news events coming in at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and those will be CPI or core inflation rate, okay? Those also will not affect us because that is before 9:30. I'm pretty much just looking for news events that are from 9:30 onwards because that is when we look to participate in the market. So anything before I see as liquidity, anything after gives me reason to want to be a bit more cautious with my positions. So that brings us on to Thursday, June 11th. We have more high impact news events coming in the form of initial jobless claims. And that is at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now once again, 8:30 is before 9:30 opening bell, so we are not too interested in that. It's not going to affect us. Then on Friday, June 12th, we have high impact news events coming in at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, that is a news event that I am interested in. Why? Because it is after 9:30. It's exactly 30 minutes after our 9:30 opening bell. So we will remain cautious. If we are in a position before that news release, it will just give us a little bit more reason to want to hedge our position or protect our position in the form of taking partials, going break even, or perhaps even trading our stop loss should the market put us in a favorable condition. Now, as I'm sitting here, I can currently see that the Nasdaq is pushing towards that buy side level. Very good for us. Ideally, we do see some form of reaction to that specific level, which would give us a reason to want to short the market. But for right now, as stated in my text over here, we can see that I have a neutral bias on the Nasdaq. I also have a neutral bias on the S&P 500. And for the Dow Jones, I am somewhat bearish because we have already raided that buy side level. And I'm not comfortable with taking any further long positions after we have made current day high. So, bearish on Dow, neutral on S&P, neutral on the Nasdaq. Not really too much for us to touch up on now. We've just gone over our fundamentals in the form of high impact news, and that's really pretty much it. The only news event that we're going to be looking at is next week Friday, or this week coming Friday and Tuesday. Sorry, almost forgot. Tuesday's got 10 a.m. news release and Friday has 10 a.m. news release. Then we'll touch up on next week's fundamentals at the end of this week. I'll do a market preview for next week. But I would like to remind you guys that I am going to be doing these market reviews henceforth. every single day. That'll take place after my live stream, and it's essentially just going to sum up what our entire session consisted of in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, give or take. That way, for individuals that are unable to make these specific live streams, I understand it's 2.5 hours long. It is no small video by any means, but obviously the benefit to coming to these live streams is essentially being able to see exactly how I position myself in live time. Completely up to you whether you want to be part or not. Like I said, market reviews will be coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. Right, so the Nasdaq looks like it's about to break that current day high level. S&P 500 not quite. Ideally we do see weakness in the S&P where it fails to take out that specific high and starts moving lower. Alright, so that previous 5-minute candle, the Nasdaq as well as the S&P and Dow have all closed bullish. Ideally, we do now see that raid in buy side, and hopefully we can get some form of rejection from that specific level. That would give me a high sense of conviction towards downside objectives being met, and we would be looking for a much bigger trade to take form if the S&P 500 cannot keep up with that buy side level. So if we see weakness in the S&P as well as a raid in buy side on the Nasdaq, I will be looking to take a potential short in the giving moments, but I will keep you guys updated. So let's stay patient. Let's see what the Nasdaq does. We've not yet taken the buy side level as of yet, but we are monitoring that specific level, and you guys will be updated. Right, so we have seen a slight push down across all three of our indices, but I'm once again not interested in any moves right now. I am purely focused on that buy side liquidity level, exactly where I've put that magnet. Now, we want to see whether or not this price level is going to act as a magnet that will repel price or essentially attract it. Right now, we are definitely attracting price on the Nasdaq. I do think that we will see higher prices in order to see that specific buy side met within these next 5 minutes or in this particular 5-minute candle. Now, ideally, we do see some form of rejection after we are able to do that. We'll just have to remain patient and see exactly what price has for us. So stay tuned. I'll keep you guys informed. And there you go. You can clearly see the price notification that came through on the Nasdaq. So we have now taken that specific level. I do like what I see. We are also seeing. So what happened is the Dow starts to move lower, whilst we see the opposite in the NAS. Apologies. Ideally, we see the NAS continue higher. And we do not want to see the S&P do the same. Okay, we want to see weakness now on the S&P. That would essentially start the SMT procedure, which not only consists of a wick, but I also do need to see a body close below a specific common swing point. We've seen that now. It's all about what price chooses to do now that we've taken that specific sell side. We can actually still go higher, but that would mean we would need to sit a little bit longer in order for our specific market maker sell model to pan out. Until then, there's really not too much we can do. We've touched up on everything there is to discuss thus far. What I can do is quickly go through a couple more of the other assets that I have been watching. Those will obviously all be at the top of your screen already, but we can look at them in a little bit more depth. What I'm going to do here is take away that magnet, as well as this one. Cool, and now that we've taken out that buy side, I am no longer looking to be neutral, I am looking to be bearish. Okay, so I'm bearish on the Nasdaq, I'm bearish on the Dow Jones, which will be seen on the right of your screens over here, where I've got my cursor. And for the S&P 500, I am still somewhat bearish, although I'm neutral. Although once I go bearish on 2 of my 3 indices, the last one will pretty much just follow suit. Meaning if I'm bearish on the Dow Jones as well as the Nasdaq, I'm no longer looking for shorts to be taken on the S&P 500 or longs to be taken on the S&P 500. I'd rather short all of my pairs. So let's see if we can't see some form of change in state delivery. Alright, so we've just seen that candle close. Now, it does look good for me. It does line up a potential sell, but we would need to see a change in state of delivery now on the S&P as well as the Nasdaq. Ideally, we will get it on one of the two, but I essentially need a down close candle now, okay? I need a bearish close on this next 5-minute candle, or it doesn't have to be the specific 5-minute candle, but I do need to see some downwards momentum right now. We need to change the market profile from a market maker buy model to a market maker sell model. Thereafter, I will be participating and taking short on either the Nasdaq or the S&P, but more on that in the time to come. I do not want to highlight a framework that doesn't come into fruition, so we're going to touch up on that should price reveal itself to break the current market profile to go from a buy to a sell. Stay tuned. Alright, I am very close to taking part in this specific trade. All I'm waiting for now is essentially just a push to the downside, okay? And I'm looking to see a change in state of delivery on the Nasdaq as well as the S&P. Now, fingers crossed we can get this particular setup to pan out immediately without the S&P 500 taking out its buy side level. If, however, we do not get that, it's a bit unfortunate. We will just have to sit on our hands and wait for the next opportunity to present itself. But right now we are about 80% there. We just need to see the very last confluence come into play, and that will essentially be our change in state of delivery across the Nasdaq as well as the S&P. Should we be able to get that in the next coming minutes, I will be looking to go short. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I do from essentially a framework all the way to calculating the specific lot, as well as taking the trade live in front of you. So guys, stay tuned, and I'll keep you posted. Alright, we are currently seeing a slight push higher on the S&P as well as the Nasdaq. It's not what we're looking for. Ideally, we do start to push a little bit lower. Now, if we do not get our trade position, there's really not much we can do other than stay patient, and yeah, a bit unfortunate, but that is just the way of this specific craft and industry. Now, the last thing we're going to do is chase price. Alright, we're not looking to do that. I was really hoping we could see a return and a close below the specific point here on the S&P, as well as the specific point on the Nasdaq, but it just doesn't look like we're going to be able to get that today. Very frustrating, I know. But like I said, there's not much we can do. We can only focus on what we can control. And being patient is one of those faculties. So right, the S&P is very close to taking out its buy side level. We should get a price alarm very shortly. There you go. So S&P is just taken our current day high. We've also seen the same thing on the Nasdaq. Dow Jones has already done that at 9:30. So no longer looking to go bullish on any of our pairs. We are bearish across all three of our indices. Alright. What I'm going to do now is quickly just expand on the S&P, see the lay of the land. So we are well off from Friday's high. On the Nasdaq, no point in even scrolling, that's how far we are. Okay, I'll put us back to the 3 charts where we can see the NAS, S&P as well as the Dow. Alright, even if we get a push down now to the downside and we change the standard delivery, it's not enough for me to see. Alright, I need to pin my specific trade off of a swing point, either high or low. I understand that there is minor buy side and sell side. I am a contrarian trader, meaning I want to position myself against the grain. Now, a lot of people will be looking to trade these specific breakouts. I'm not one of them, nor will I be one of them in today's session. The last thing I'm going to do is take a loss because I'm chasing price, especially now that I'm documenting the process. So, Talana, for future reference, studying your loss, wait for the right opportunity to present itself, whether that's once a month, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a day, who knows? Just remain patient, right? You need to focus on the things that you can control, and this is one of them. So, right now we are seeing higher prices on the Dow, we're seeing higher prices on the Nasdaq, and we are seeing higher prices on the S&P 500. Right, we are currently trading at our current day high, and I cannot buy anything past current day high. Right, very important to know that. Okay, just sitting through the time frames very quickly, just trying to get a better understanding of what is happening on the higher time frame. Right, so we are seeing a good push down on the Dow Jones. Hopefully this can set us up for a common swing high, in which case we would need to see a return for that specific level to take out that minor sell side, or buy side, apologies, and thereafter see a change stated delivery. Now, all of these specific things will take quite a few candles. It's not going to form in one candle. That's just the nature of the game, and through these live streams, you guys will pick up on the raw reality of what it takes to be a trader. More often than not, you are waiting, you have to be patient, and that's what makes trading so hard in of itself, is the amount of action it takes is not a lot. It's just all about making the right decision at the right time and pretty much waiting for that specific scenario to once again pan out on a consistent basis. which is exactly why building community is perfect and ideal for this specific industry, because who wants to wait alone? Who wants to sit there alone? We want to be able to engage with one another. Perhaps it's something that someone else is doing better. Perhaps it's something that I'm doing better. And it's essentially just a collaboration of different mindsets coming together and essentially helping one another to improve in whatever faculty that is. So for right now, we're seeing a push higher on all of our indices. We don't want to currently go high, or I at least don't want to currently go anywhere past that all-time high or current day high, apologies. So we're going to sit, we're going to wait, see if we can't see a common swing point form now on the Nasdaq as well as the Dow. That previous 5-minute candle I can see has formed a high. Now it's not a swing point as of yet. We would need to wait for the remaining 4 minutes of this 5-minute candle to print out, and thereafter we'd be able to see whether or not this is a swing high or not. So stay tuned. As always, I will keep you guys updated. Alright, so right now, very lackluster session so far. We've not really seen any impulse moves across any of our specific pairs. Right now, it does look like bulls are currently in the win, so price is expected to go higher. But I just want to remain patient. Once again, I would not want to buy if all three of my indices have taken out that specific level. So I could be wrong, but I'm not comfortable taking any long. I'm only comfortable taking sells. I understand that once price takes our current day high, we are in somewhat of a premium, and well, I guarantee you none of you go to the market and buy shit when it's at a premium. So we're not going to look to buy, we're only looking to sell around. Now, whether or not we can get that sell within the next 48 minutes, because that would pretty much bring us to noon Eastern Standard Time. Really hope we can get a trade set up in today's session, but of course it's not really in my control. I just need to remain patient and wait for my particular opportunity to present itself. Thereafter, act abruptly and see exactly where that takes us. So stay tuned. I'm not currently looking at taking any positions right now. I'm just going to be watching the charts and seeing what price action can give us whilst we come towards the end of our specific trading session. So stay tuned. We are currently seeing somewhat of a push down on the Dow. The S&P 500 is definitely looking bullish. Likewise, the Nasdaq has no intention of coming lower. So let's see if we can't perhaps get another common swing point of which we can start our trade off of, or at least our trade idea off of, and I'll let you guys know. Cool. Alright guys, so now we're getting a pushback up on our indices with the Nasdaq, the S&P, as well as the Dow. Hopefully we can get some form of failure swing point or liquidity grab on the Nasdaq, because looking at all three, it does seem like the Nas will probably take out that common high first. Whereas we don't want to see the same on the S&P 500. Now, price has been somewhat lackluster. We've pretty much just been on a range the entire time for the Dow Jones, and we've seen the same thing on the S&P. Nasdaq has been a little bit more expansive compared to the other two, but by no means way, shape or form an impulse move. I mean, yes, we have seen a little bit of a push towards the upside on the Nasdaq, but for me right now, I have approximately 20 minutes left in order to get a trade setup present itself, but also to enter within that time span, which is just highly unlikely. Now, these are the types of times where it's very hard to stay patient. I mean, I've not taken a trade in about 2 weeks now, which is not normal at all. I don't think it's ever happened to me before. So I'm definitely being tested here from a patience perspective, but once again, there's really not anything that I can do. If my trading strategy doesn't pan out, trading plan doesn't come into fruition, there's nothing I can do other than tune back in tomorrow. So I think that's what we will do now. Like I said, we have about 20 minutes left of the session. If we can get some form of liquidity grab or my buy side grab above these particular common swing highs that have formed on all of our indices, then we would need to see an expansive move to the downside, which we have not yet seen in the entirety of today's session. So fingers crossed we can get that. If not, we're just going to have to play it by ear, or essentially time will tell what we decide to do. So I'll keep you guys informed. Until then, just keep an eye on the charts. Enjoy the music. Alright, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to mark out that specific swing high that I'm looking for on the Nasdaq, the S&P 500. Right, so it's not drawn on the exact swing high itself, but it's pretty much just the level that I'm monitoring at the minute. Now, this will be my last potential setup for the day. We've obviously got about 12 minutes remaining until 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, like I said, fairly frustrating. Obviously I'd love to take a trade and show you guys exactly how everything works and the exact framework I use for taking these specific setups, but guys, there's really nothing I can do when this type of market presents itself. I mean, if we just look at Dow alone, there's not really been any one-sided price action. We've pretty much just started. We immediately expanded higher, then we dipped all the way down, but we couldn't change the state in that delivery, and we've pretty much just been consolidating within this down close candle found at 940 or 935. Apologies. Whereas the S&P and the Nasdaq have definitely had stronger moves associated with those specific pairs, but also not exactly done anything. I mean, we've just been stuck in a range, and that is the raw reality of trading. Alright, like, I don't know what you guys have been told, what you guys have essentially seen, but I can almost guarantee it's not realistic. Trading is boring. Okay, like, I wish there was another way of me saying it, but it really isn't. I mean, this is just the reality of it, you know? You really do have to sit here, you really do have to focus all the time for your specific session. Now, I do not trade London, so I pretty much only have one session to sit in front of the charts and look at price action per day. And that runs from 9:30 to 12. Now today's another example of us not getting a trade set up. We still do have time, but we're asking a little bit too much of the market, especially in these next 10 minutes. So once again, just dealing with probability here, we're probably not going to get a setup today. Is it frustrating? Extremely. But if you look at the statistics of the individuals in this specific industry, we are leaving this day as a quote-unquote bad day, but we've not taken any trades, we've not taken a loss, so it's by no means a bad day. If anything, it's a good day, because we've once again addressed all the inputs we possibly can. We've shown up, we've concentrated and used as much focus, we've positioned ourselves in an area where we've essentially mitigated any distractions from potentially taking our eyes off of the thing that matters most, which is price action from a technical standpoint, or candlesticks. These sessions happen more often than not. It is a Monday, but again, I don't want to blame the market. Okay, I'm very certain that there will be individuals out there somewhere who have taken action on these specific markets, who have carved out profit. Likewise, I am 1,000% sure that there have been people who have taken trades and lost. So, I mean, I guess it completely depends on how one essentially looks at it and what your perspective is. For me, it is somewhat frustrating. I'm yet to take a trade on this live stream channel. Now, the very first day was the best day, and we still weren't able to catch that specific trade. So, very frustrating. I really hope you guys can bear with me. Now, there are approximately 1.2 billion people watching. Comment down below if you think I'm bluffing. And subscribe if you think I'm lying. Unfortunate. But yeah, guys, listen, that pretty much does wrap it up. There is just too much to ask of the market in these last 5 minutes. And I need to essentially not only have the trade pan out, but enter at the same time within 5 minutes. So within 5 minutes, I need to see a liquidity sweep followed by a raid with a change in state of delivery on not only one pair but two. So from a probabilities perspective, it's highly unlikely that we will get that in the time left of this particular session. So look, it's not what I want to do. Okay, of course I want to take trades, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss. I want action on this channel. I want you guys to be able to essentially look, learn, and there's not really too much you can learn other than to be patient, okay? And funny enough, that is the most valuable lesson I could teach anyone, or the most valuable thing anyone could learn when in this industry is the importance of patience. And it's not only one day, it's every single day, okay? Literally every single day. And that's what makes trading so hard, okay? Because just from a default's perspective, or from a normal person's perspective, patience is just not hardwired within, at least myself, can't speak for anyone else, but I'm just not a patient person, okay? I want action now. If I'm hungry, I want food now, or at least I want to cook now, you know? I don't really like waiting. I really don't like waiting, which is just another reason why I've essentially started these live streams. It's just going to keep me accountable. I know that as soon as there's a camera in front of my eyes, I'll need to essentially act professional, do everything I can, knowing that there are investors out there who could log in at any time, watch my performance. So like I said, it just keeps me accountable to do the absolute best I can do. And I mean, it's days like this where it's not exactly fun by any means, way, shape or form. It's very boring. But again, it could get a lot worse. I mean, we could be on these live streams, we could essentially not follow our plan, act in an immature manner where we take a trade that isn't exactly part of our plan, and that would essentially just be gambling. And with the amount of leverage I'm looking to put behind my specific trades, I need to be 100% confident in what I do. Because like I said numerous times now, trading is all about the decisions you make as well as the actions you take, but the actions are backed by your intellect and exactly what you're thinking, what framework is going through, what you've back tested, what you believe works. And that's what ultimately sets you aside from someone who's not profitable, okay? It's all about your edge. It's all about what you can do in the market that other people can't. And one of those things I have displayed today is being patient, okay? I'm extremely strict in my approach and what I'm expecting from the marketplace. I will not deviate by any means, okay? You've got to carry the cross is heavy, but the cross comes before the crown, alright? So chaps, I really hope you guys found this insightful. I do apologize once again, but not something I have control over, okay? It's just the reality of it. And if there's one thing I do want to show you guys is a realistic expectation of what you guys can essentially expect from the market if you were trading the way I trade specifically. Now, high frequency and high probability do not work together, at least from my background, my experience. More often than not, if you find something that has high probability and has a high win rate, it is not high frequency, okay? So you're not going to be trading every single day. More often than not, if you trade every single day, you don't have a high probability setup. So guys, do with that as you will. I hope you have a fantastic day. This pretty much wraps up the AM session for the 8th of June 2026. To all my likes, to all the dislikes, to all the comments, to all the viewers, I say Christ is King, and there will be many trials and tribulations in the coming days. We just got to carry the cross, stay true, follow the one who did it before, and give thanks, even on days like today. Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys in the next live stream, which will be taking place tomorrow, the 9th of June 2026 at about 9:25 Eastern Standard Time. Chaps, have a fantastic day. Send my regards to your friends, your families, your loved ones, or even though they don't know me, well, do it anyways. Alright, I love you guys. Till next time, take care.